Hello internet, my name is Vic. This is a mental health update. I'm not sure if I want to stay calling it that. We're gonna stick with it for now. The other morning I woke up and my phone was just off. I couldn't turn it back on and I was like, okay, what is happening? But I've had that phone since 2016, so I think it just was like, yep, I'm ready to go and just shit the bed. Maybe 2017. I don't know, it's been a while, but I finally broke my grudge with iPhone and got an iPhone. So the camera quality is very good on this. Samsung's is pretty good, but this is the front facing camera and I can see my mustache really well. This is a nice camera, so I might admire that a few times. I also have a new editing software. I want to go ahead and say that. I can explain why the camera quality is different and why the editing style might be different. The 1st of April, I had my first appointment with my provider. That went well. The thing about Cerebral, after having both sessions and getting my medication, which I'm going to talk about in a little bit, I am very happy with that. The first appointment I had was with my provider, and what they do is they just get a general idea of what you have going on. It's almost easier that way because the questions are so rapid fire. They have a guideline that basically is different mental illnesses broken down and their symptoms. And if you clarify that you do have those symptoms, then, odds are you do have a level of that mental disability or disorder. The provider did ask a lot of questions. They could be considered blunt or triggering. So if you do have those things and those triggers, just be warned that the provider is pretty blunt. If you're not comfortable, you can also say, hey, I'm not comfortable talking about that. I'd rather talk with a therapist about that. That's fine too, but they just really want to know your symptoms. That meeting went really well, and I also ended up having 2 hours with her. She said, I'm going to really take some more time with you because you're about to be 30. You've been putting off getting medication, but you really need to be on medication. But she was really good. Basically, we talked for a majority of the conversation just about what I go through and what I've been through and how I have traumas. I pinpointed 3 separate things and relationships in my life that have been traumatic. And I told her kind of a general consensus about those. With everything that I said to her, I know a lot of people are skeptical. They're like, how can somebody who does not know you at all tell you what you need? The sessions are supposed to be 30 minutes apiece. 30 minutes to tell a complete stranger whether they have depression or anxiety, anger issues. These people are professionals. They're a good team. And I rate them 5 stars, honestly. If you need mental help, right now is the time to seek it, and Cerebral's really helpful. They'll get back to you within 24 hours of your message, so they're very prompt with answering questions. There is no day but today, and tomorrow's not promised to us. You might not have tomorrow to get the help you need for your mental health, so today is a perfect day to do it. It's an app, it's free, the app, and you can look at the rates and their different programs, and right now they're having a special, $30 for the first month. And I recommend them. They'll give you medicine for $10 a medicine, and they'll mail it to you. Can't really beat that. After we talked, she diagnosed me. In my last video, I said I think I have manic depression. I was diagnosed with that. I have anxiety. It wasn't the end yet, but she was like, now for your diagnosis. She said, I'm gonna go ahead and say it's not social anxiety that you have. You have generalized anxiety is what we like to call it, when there's not really anything to pinpoint the anxiety. I don't just have anxiety when I am in public. If I go somewhere and I don't know people, I get nervous. I feel kind of like I shouldn't be there, or something's wrong, and I start feeling butterflies in my stomach, or I'm sweaty, I start shaking in my hands. I start getting really nervous. We also determined that I don't only feel that way in public. Sometimes I feel that way just at home, and I was kind of expecting that, so I was like, okay, cool. It was and I also diagnosed you with bipolar disorder. What's the difference between that and manic depression? Because that's similar. Bipolar is more when you don't really have a set amount of manic and depressive episodes, they're not even. But for me, it literally will have me going in circles with my depression, and I'll be spinning around in this depressive episode, and then all of a sudden I'll stop and be manic and then start spinning again. With manic depression, it wouldn't be like that, but bipolar, yes. And bipolar is different because bipolar can be switching emotions quickly, and it's so fast paced. That's more accurate for myself. I react instantly almost. Something will happen and my whole day can be ruined. I mean, I'm bisexual, so I might as well be bipolar too. But then she was like, well, I have a few more questions actually, if that's okay. And this one has hit me different. I expected the first two. I mean, bipolar is not that much different than manic depression. The final diagnosis I got, I was not exactly prepared for, and I'm still kind of processing through my brain. But that one was for BPD, or better known as borderline personality disorder. Apparently, I developed it because I never sought attention for my bipolar and my anxiety. So unmedicated, those two together are almost like a lethal combo. In my case, when you're a child and you go through trauma, your brain tries to protect your childlike mind because you're innocent. You shouldn't be exposed to these traumas, and the way the world is at such a young age, you should be safe. But when you're not safe with your own family, your brain tries to make you safe. Your brain goes into protection mode, and it instinctually takes over and blocks out things. You know, there's some things that I don't remember. My memory is hazy about my childhood. Some of the things that I remembered were on accident because I did drugs. When I was high, it unlocked a part in my brain that had hidden away this childhood trauma. So those were times that when I sobered back up, I remembered them. And what can happen is your brain gets basically damaged in this process, and you develop mental disabilities or mental disorders. For me, it was bipolar because I had this thing happen to me several times for several years. I internalized it. This is my fault. This is my fault. I'm the reason that these bad things are happening to me. Everybody that I surround myself with is eventually going to abandon me and leave me or hurt me or cause me harm. And let me just go ahead and self-sabotage everything that I have to beat myself to it, or to beat them to it, so I can do it to myself. So then I'll have no one to blame but myself. I also sought out toxic relationships because of that. I also wanted to fix people. I also wanted to date people who were broken, like me, so I could fix them, so I could be the hero of me and them, you know, and that's too much for me to take on, but that is right there as behaviors of someone who is developing BPD. There is no medication for it, but the symptoms of BPD, like depression, bipolar, anxiety, manic depression, can be treated. It's okay to need medication to help because sometimes our brains are so damaged that they can't help us. So we need medication to help rewire, for lack of a better word. It was rewire your brain. I've been so afraid of medication and pushed for so long to not have to take medication because I wasn't sure if it was going to be the right thing for me. Now I've pushed that fear aside and I've come to the conclusion that I need to try, because obviously going unmedicated for as long as I have has not helped or has not done much. So I need to address this. I will always have BPD. That's me. Like, I'm a little bit spicy. And I'm trans and I'm bisexual. Like, come on. So the first thing I was prescribed was Lamictal. And Lamictal is for the bipolar. And I'm supposed to take that daily. I was also prescribed Remeron, which is for my anxiety. I'm going to be taking that at night to help me sleep through the night, because a lot of my anxiety, she said it's not exactly PTSD, but it's similar, but BPD can bring flashbacks of trauma and have you like dwelling on certain things. So it's got a Cerebral sticker right here, and it's in the Cerebral box, and then you open it up and they have a little pamphlet in there. Cerebral, we're here for you. This is nice. I haven't read through this yet. It also has like some frequently asked questions. How long until I start feeling better? Timing is really important with medication. You have to give it time to get in your system and for your body to adjust. It talks about practicing mindfulness, connecting with those around you, taking time to do the things you love out of your day, think positive things about yourself. Actively manage your time, practice relaxation techniques, keep a journal, make time to do something active. This is like helping you sleep. It's got like little confetti in it. I'm gonna start that tomorrow, and tomorrow is Monday, the 5th. I have pollen on me. I want to talk about the therapy aspect of Cerebral now. My therapy appointment was 30 minutes. That did not go over, but that's okay because I wasn't her last client. She was also very easy to talk to. And one of the things, like, I'm obviously not going to tell everyone like what we talked about. One of the things that stood out to me is there are things that you do, especially when you have trauma at such a young age, whatever kind of trauma it may be. If you experience that trauma at such a young age, you're a child, you're a teenager, you're a preteen, whatever. but you're young and your brain doesn't stop developing until your mid-20s. If your brain is not finished developing and something traumatic happens, either you're going to process it or you're not. Depends on whether or not you're neurotypical or neurodivergent. That plays a big part in it, but you still have a different reaction, different way, different time. If you're a child, your mind doesn't know how to react. So you might do some things that you're not exactly proud of or that weren't exactly the right thing to do, but it was the only thing you knew how to do. There's several things that I've done that I'm not proud of. I let certain things go on in relationships I was in that I'm not proud of. I did certain things because I thought I was in love with somebody and they were the one for me that I regret. There's people in my life that have been in my life that have done me wrong that I regret not saying something about sooner. There's things that I let go on for years that I should have stood up about, and I should have made myself big instead of making myself small, but I made myself small for so many people and I did so many things. But I'm alive. I made it. And I'm here. On a small scale, on an individual scale, I'm alive. And on a big picture scale, I am so small in this world, in this galaxy, in this universe, but I'm alive for a reason. I don't know the reason yet, but what I do know is I made it and I'm alive, and I have to at least give myself that credit. That even though I did things that I regret, even though I did things that I shouldn't have done or I could have avoided or I should have gone about differently, even though that I lied to people, I may have stolen things, I definitely broke many laws, but I made it and I'm alive, and I'm now seeking help to get better. That is something I can be proud of, and that is something that I can take with honor and I can tell others. Obviously, I didn't tell my therapist I'm a YouTuber, but I put my journey on YouTube. I share with my friends and with anyone who wants to watch and experience with me because I want to help other people. I went through life. I struggled with self-harm, I struggled with drugs, I struggled with alcohol, I struggled with a lot of things, and I still continue to struggle with things, but I am alive and I am making the steps to get better and help fix my brain so I can function, so I can thrive. I need to look at life that way. I'm alive. Dude, I made it and I'm still here. My brain couldn't keep me down. All the trauma that happened to me doesn't define me. Even my diagnosis don't define me, Just because I'm bipolar doesn't mean that I can't succeed. Just because I have BPD doesn't mean I can't succeed. Just because I have anxiety doesn't mean that I can't succeed. It's gonna be way better. And I can't wait to make that happen. And remember, it's okay to ask for help. It's definitely okay to take the steps to make yourself a better person and to set boundaries. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay well. And I'll catch you in the next video. Later.